All right, today we're tackling something huge, the Dumbphone revolution. You've probably heard about it, this growing wave of parents hitting the pause button on smartphones for their kids. It's a super tough decision in a world that's always online. So let's get into why it's happening and what some of the smarter options might be.
Oh, man. If you're a parent, I'm betting you've heard this one before. It's that one sentence that just puts you in a totally impossible spot, right? You're torn. You want to keep your kids safe, but you also don't want them to be the only one left out. It's a massive source of stress.
And you know what? The pressure is kicking in way earlier than you'd think. The average age a kid in the US gets her first smartphone is just 10 years old. 10. That's like 4th or 5th grade. So you have to ask, how in the world did we get here, and what's the real cost of all this?
Okay, let's really break this down, because this goes way beyond just peer pressure. It's a really tricky balancing act that parents today are just thrown into.
This is the core of it, isn't it? On one hand, you want that peace of mind. You want to be able to call them, to know where they are. But on the other hand, you know all about the scary stuff, the unlimited internet, the social media drama, everything else that's out there. It really feels like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
But here's the thing. This decision isn't just about feelings or social pressure. There's a mountain of science, real, hard evidence that tells us waiting might be one of the best things you can possibly do for your kid's brain.
Okay, so the most important thing to get is this. A kid's brain isn't just a mini adult brain. It's literally a construction zone. It's busy building all the super important wiring for things like making good decisions, controlling impulses, and handling emotions. And while all that construction is happening, it's really, really vulnerable.
This is such a great way to think about it. Their brain needs time to build that solid foundation. Giving a kid a powerful smartphone too early, it's kind of like trying to install a fancy smart home system when the house doesn't even have walls yet. It just doesn't make sense.
And when you look at the research, wow, it's pretty startling. I mean, the National Institutes of Health found that a lot of screen time can actually lead to the thinning of the brain's cortex. That's like the main control center. And that's not all. Study after study links early smartphone use to some really serious stuff. Higher risks of depression, terrible sleep, and even lower scores on thinking and language tests. And check out this trend line. It's pretty telling. We're talking about problematic social media use. Basically, when teens can't control it and it's hurting them. Well, according to the World Health Organization, that number jumped a lot in just 4 years. It's becoming a real public health issue.
So why is it so darn hard for kids to just put the phone down? Well, it all boils down to brain chemistry. See, every single like, every message, every notification, it's a little hit of dopamine, that feel-good chemical. And for a brain that's still learning impulse control, it's literally like carrying a slot machine in your pocket that's designed to make you pull that lever again and again and again.
Okay, so with all of this evidence piling up, what's a parent supposed to do? How do you fight back against all that pressure? Well, that's where this really simple but totally brilliant idea comes into play. It's a movement called Wait Until 8th.
The way it works is just genius. Basically, parents at a school all agree to sound this online pledge together. The deal is, you'll wait until at least 8th grade to give your kid a smartphone. But here's the clever part. The pledge only activates once 10 or more families from the same grade sign up. Then, boom, everyone gets a list of who else is in. Instantly, you've got a support network.
And just so you know, this isn't some tiny niche thing. We're talking over 125,000 families who have signed this pledge. It's happening in all 50 states. This is a legitimate, nationwide movement of parents coming together to say, hey, let's change this norm.
And this is the secret sauce. That whole, but mom, everyone has one argument. It just evaporates. All of a sudden, you can say, actually, honey, the Smiths and the Johnsons and 8 other families in your grade are all waiting too. It totally changes the conversation. It's not about being left out anymore. It's about being part of a group.
Now, look, the need to communicate is totally real. Of course you need to be able to reach your kid. The good news is you can absolutely solve that problem without giving them a tiny supercomputer with access to the entire internet. For the younger kids, say 8 to 12, these smartwatches are a total game changer. You've got things like the Gizmo Watch or the Bark Watch. They give you what you actually need, GPS tracking and the ability to call a handful of people you've approved. And you get none of the stuff you don't want. No open internet, no social media, no addictive games. It's the perfect just-in-case tool.
Okay, but what about the older kids, the tweens who think a watch is for little kids? There are some great options there, too. There's something called a Gab phone, which looks and feels just like a smartphone, but, and this is key, it has no internet browser and no social media. Or, hey, you can always go old school with a basic flip phone. They're cheap, they work for calls and texts, and that's
Okay, that's a lot of info. So how do you actually make this happen? Let's talk strategy. Let's put together an action plan for your family.
Sooner or later, you're gonna have that tough conversation. So be ready. You can start with the facts, mention the other families from the pledge. You can even mention that the big tech execs in Silicon Valley make their own kids wait until they're 14. Then explain the why, that you're doing this to protect their awesome developing brain. And then right away shift to the positive. So let's look at some cool watches or phones together and pick one out.
And this is maybe the most important part. Our kids are watching us always. They learn so much more from what we do than from what we say. If we're glued to our screens, well, that's what they'll see as normal. So modeling good habits, like just putting your phone down when you're talking to them, is one of the most powerful things you can do, period.
Setting up some phone-free zones in your house is a great idea for everybody. Bedrooms are a big one. It's so important for protecting sleep. The dinner table, that's for actual conversation. And homework time? Keeping the phone away helps them focus so much better. The key is making sure these are rules for the whole family, not just the kids.
So, you ready to do something? You can literally start today. Go check out waituntil8th.org and see if your school already has a pledge going. Talk to your kid about it. Start researching those alternatives. Heck, just start with one simple rule tonight, like no phones at the dinner table. Every little step really does make a huge difference.
At the end of the day, this isn't about being against technology. Not at all. It's about being for childhood. It's about giving kids the space to let their minds grow, to get good sleep, and to learn how to connect with people face to face. Choosing to wait, it might just be one of the most powerful, loving things a parent can do.